And the truth about it is, y'all, I'm hurting y'all because I want to be loved. I want marriage. You know, a lot of us get on here, we act tough, and we be like, I don't want a man, I don't need a man, but I want help. I want to be loved. I want somebody to love me. I want somebody I can be vulnerable with. The problem is, and I'm not crying out because I'm sad, I'm crying out because it's like a release right now. But the problem for me, y'all, is that all the relationships that I had with men were not about love. It was about survival for me. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how to seduce a man. I do not know how to love a man.
Woo, woo. Yo, the truths that she is admitting right now. Man, she said she don't know how to love a man, but she know how to do all the other things need to be done to get a man.
And then to have a son, because of those choices that I was making, y'all, and I got pregnant really, really fast. I got pregnant within 90 days of knowing my baby daddy. And we don't talk about this because it's embarrassing and it hurts. It hurts. And I'm mad with me. I'm not mad at men. I'm not mad at my life. I'm mad at me because I don't know how to fix me. I don't know how to fix it. That's accountability.
No, what she means by that's accountability is she's acknowledging the fact that she is the issue. She's acknowledging the fact that she also doesn't know how to fix the issue. She's holding herself accountable. Man.
That's the shit that hurts. It's realizing that, hey, I got some shit with me that I don't know how to fix. And in turn, because I don't know how to fix it, I'm other people around me. That's accountability. That's the shit that we don't put on social media.
This reminds me of a clip that I saw just this morning of a woman saying how hard it is for women to take responsibility because of pride. Watch.
Women have a hard time taking responsibility. We have a hard time being shown ourselves. And I've come to realize that women are very, very prideful. Like men have egos, but women are very prideful. And the reason why we have a hard time being shown who we are is because the opposite of pride is shame. And we don't want to feel that shame because it is very painful. But let me tell you something. You have nothing to be shameful about simply because you're imperfect. We are all imperfect. The best gift, one of the best gifts you can give your husband is when he says, babe, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I see in you. This is where you can improve. This is the adjustments I think that you can make, is to sit back and think about it. And then say, you know what, babe? I can see where I could do better in that area. You know, I'm sorry for making you feel that way. I don't want you to feel that way. Right? Eat it. Because that's going to give you the relationship you're actually fighting for.
She couldn't be more right. There's been a couple of times where I've had to sit down and have that conversation with a female that I was talking to. And in that moment, usually they're too heated. They don't want to accept what it is that you have to tell them. And then they will sit there and fight you about it to the point where they're thinking that they are perfect the way they are and that you are the problem. And fellas, what I recommend, because this is what works for me, give them space. Give them space, give them space. They got to sit there and think and be with themselves long enough so that because they're going to process that information. They're going to dwell on it. They're going to overthink about it. And then usually, if they're a decent enough individual, they will come to that realization. Then they'll come knocking at your door, ringing your doorbell, calling your phone, and be like, hey, I see what you're talking about. And you're right, there are some things that I need to improve on.
So this isn't really a cry for help. It's just a little, I'm admitting this to myself and need this up for future purposes. I am tired. I'm a single mom of 2, and I raise my kids alone. Whether or not their fathers are in their lives,
Wait, did y'all hear what I heard? Did she say she's a single mom of 2? That's not that bad. But she said whether or not their fathers are in their lives. Okay, so both the kids have different fathers. Gotcha, okay. I thought that's what I heard.
Whether or not their fathers are in their lives, I'm the only person who raises my kids. I'm the only one who changes every diaper, does bath time, does meals, does waking up, does going to sleep. I'm the one who does all of that. And I'm tired. Being a mom while your mental health is bad is something that you just have to ignore and push off until it gets so bad that you can't anymore. And I'm at that point.
She must be really young because that's not entirely true. You can focus on your mental health and focus on getting in the right place, even being a parent. Yes, it does come with some challenges, but there are things that you can do. Like right now in this moment, she's sitting in this car making this video where she could be using this time to work on herself.
I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, and I have nothing else to give. I don't know what to do. I can't work, so I don't get a break.
She says she can't work. I'm confused. Now, I know a lot of y'all are thinking, well, where are the fathers? Why aren't the fathers doing enough? You know, it's a strong possibility that she didn't choose the right type of men to conceive children with. She could have chosen men that she knew good and well wasn't going to be about her, not seriously. Or there is a possibility that those are some good men, but she ran them off for whatever reason.
I don't get a break. And I don't have the village that, everybody says it takes to raise a child. I don't have that either. I'm also in a toxic relationship that's a trauma bond with this person that makes living so hard.
Okay, sounds like that's a situation that you need to get out of, young lady. She says she's in a toxic relationship. You almost wonder if she keeps choosing toxic relationships to be in, considering the fact that she has 2 kids by 2 other men that aren't a part of their lives.
And
these are assumptions.
People don't talk about how having kids young is being bonded to these people that don't care about you.
She said having kids young is being bonded to these people that don't care about you. Listening to her talk, you can't help but to think that she has made some bad decisions in some of the partners that she chose and continuing to do so because she's currently in a toxic situation. It's making it hard for her.
I am so tired. I had a new therapist, it didn't work out. And I'm exhausted. I want a therapist, but going to therapy and having a new therapist and having to rehash and explain your entire life story over and over and over and over again just to get help is just as exhausting as the problems themselves.
That's not entirely true. That's not entirely, because those problems, those things that you go through in life, they're not easy. They're hard. They're extremely difficult. But you just having to recall the information and tell it to someone new is nowhere near as bad. You got to suck it up now. You got to suck it up. Yes, you may have to get another therapist after another therapist after another therapist, but you can't give up. You got to work with them until you find one that suits you best.
But nobody cares about moms, right? Nobody cares about moms because we agree to have our children, so it's our job to take care of them. We don't get breaks. We're not allowed to complain. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay.
And that's what you keep telling yourself, because I'm gonna tell you right now, when you know this, who's feeling sorry for you? No one will ever feel as sorry for you as you feel for yourself. That's just the way of the world. And part of that has to do with the fact that everyone is going through something. Hell, I myself just got a phone call from the doctor today on my birthday, letting me know that I have severe sleep apnea. And it's affecting my overall quality of life. And that I might have to go on the CPAP machine.
Yo, bonus, what he need. It happened to her, it won't be me. Cause I'm a Dominican mommy. You will never be able to win the game if you don't study your opponent. Any great athlete knows they have to study their opponent. That's key. Now, aside from those gems I already dropped, let's get into the real thick of things. So, boy, when it's time to pay the piper, you better be prepared to empty all your pockets and show your natural bare ass. Because time tells all, and it can't help itself. You just better hope that you're on the good side of reality instead of being the next fool that has to pay these dues. Okay? So the real message that needs to be taken from this situation, and it's not a new topic, is actually a very reoccurring one. It's a common mistake that a lot of women make, which is believing that they are the exception to the rule when it comes to these men. This has to be one of the most habitual mistakes made by women. Okay? It has to be an equal shot at being the most detrimental to the belief that men are actually our friends. But that's a topic for another video. Okay? So the belief that one is an exception to the rule when dealing with these men is a belief that runs simultaneously with the belief that no matter what, it's always the woman's fault when things go south and things turn sour. Well, that is until you wake up and realize that the enemy has been sleeping in your bed and cuddling and coddling you the entire time. This all stems from the belief that somehow a woman's love is powerful enough to make a man do the right thing instead of placing the responsibility on the man to control his own actions, which in turn controls his own character. Now, a lot of women do this until they're on the short end receiving the negative treatment, right? So somehow it's always the other woman until that woman finds herself at fault and you want someone to sympathize with you, even though you are unable to sympathize with your fellow woman when it was her time to go through it. Now, this is not to cop out and say that women are never at fault, because I believe in accountability, and I also believe that there are good and bad people in both genders. But this is to say that the girl code, that the facetious feminist and the whole women's empowerment movement push is tired, broken, dusty, just flat out done. We've come so far to get there, and we're still nowhere from there, okay? We have to do better. And sometimes that means tough love and holding women accountable and responsible for their foolishness. Danny Lay, just like Summer Walker, both had prior knowledge of the type of men that they were getting involved with, yet they still made a decision to make a long-term decision by getting pregnant by them. Because why? Not because they were so in love and they had no clue about the impending danger on the horizon, but because they both believed that they were the exception to the rule. Now, there are different reasons that women believe that they're the exception to the rule. Both of these women, because of minuscule things, whether it be a light-skin superiority complex or a lukewarm music soul tie, they somehow thought that made them safe from the harsh realities that the women prior to them had to face. So much so that they utilized their God-given talents to make music belittling and mocking the women who were with those men before them. Like the song Bitter that Summer Walker just released on her new album. She would have been better off shitting in her hands, clapping them together, calling it music, and putting that on the album before that song Bitter. I mean, the song was intended to mock London on the Track's other baby mamas, but instead she put the noose around her own neck and kicked the chair from under her own feet.
Atlanta's leaders sounding an all too familiar tune tonight, addressing yet another deadly shooting in the city. Good evening, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joe Ripley. We first brought you this as breaking news last night at 11. One person killed, 5 injured in a shooting near Atlantic Station. And today, we've learned the lone fatality in that shooting was a 12-year-old boy. We began our team coverage tonight with 11 Alive's Dawn White. She was on the scene last night, and tonight she's back near the scene. So Dawn, what do we know right now?
Joe, just hours ago, the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office identified that 12-year-old boy as Zyioncharles. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, he said this afternoon that the 5 people who were shot here outside of Atlantic Station are all teenagers. The mayor also added that one of those teenagers is currently in the hospital in critical condition, and that teen, as well as a few others, are students in Atlanta public schools. Atlanta police tell 11 Alive off-duty officers escorted the group off the Atlantic Station property due to curfew violations and unruly behavior. Investigators say a fight broke out within the group close to the 17th Street Bridge, and there could be multiple shooters as 3 guns have been recovered. The mayor says several parents didn't know their kids were at Atlantic Station, which already has a heavy police presence this time of the year.
I'm a parent of a 17-year-old daughter in this city, and it is my everyday task to make sure I know where she is from time she goes to school to her volleyball practice, to her after-school job, to visiting friends. And so I'm asking parents right now that you use your phones, your Android or your iPhones, they all have trackers.
And this comes at one of the busiest times of the year for the popular shopping destination. Coming up after the game, I'll have more on possible safety measures in the future to prevent shootings like this.
New developments after the weekend's deadly shooting near Atlantic Station. The mother of the 12-year-old boy shot and killed says her son was troubled and her calls to get him help went unanswered.
I tried, y'all. I called the police office almost 30 times. 30 times in the last 2 years. They told me they can't do nothing.
That is zyioncharles, the mother of 12-year-old zyioncharles. Yesterday, she addressed the Atlanta Public Safety Committee, saying Zion was running with a bad crowd and breaking into cars. A week before his death, she says she begged police to intervene, but they said they couldn't. Saturday night, her son Zion was killed in a shooting near Atlantic Station. 5 other teens were hurt. So far, police have not publicly identified any suspects, but say they have identified some of the young people who were there and will start issuing warrants soon. During yesterday's meeting, Atlanta City Council member Keisha Waits recommended a 7 p.m. citywide curfew for those 17 years old and younger.
I believe that this is another tool, given the shortage that we have in terms of law enforcement, that this will be another tool in their toolbox to possibly save lives of young people as well as the public at large.
Waite says the curfew will be introduced at Atlanta City Council's meeting next Monday. She says legislation regarding unsheltered teens and working teens will be excluded from the curfew.